I knew I was in trouble the moment Dr. Juliet Hart walked into my heels sharper than my scalpel, with a smirk that could stop a heartbeat, including mine. At 32, Dr. Sophia Lane, was St. Jude's top cardiothoracic surgeon, elegance and precision wrapped in Valentino scrubs, sharp-tongued and sharper skilled. I didn't have time for love. I didn't need anyone. Then Juliet Hart arrived, an East Coast prodigy, the youngest to lead a multi-organ transplant team, gracing magazine covers and online think pieces with headlines like Beauty, Brains, and a Bone Saw. I hated her before she ever spoke. And then she spoke. Touched that clamp without asking again. I snapped mid-surgery, eyes still focused on the open chest, and I'll remove your hand, Hart. She didn't even flinch. Don't worry, Lane. I'm used to holding hearts more delicate than this. We locked eyes across the surgical field. The air crackled. The anesthesiologist pretended to check a monitor to avoid the tension thick enough to cut with a scalpel. The surgery? Flawless, of course. Juliet peeled off her gloves with a slow, deliberate pop, leaned in and murmured, "Nice work, doctor. But next time, try not to let your hand tremble when I touch your instruments." My mouth opened, closed. War had begun. The weeks that followed were a masterclass in passive aggression. Juliet parked in my reserve spot. I forgot to include her on major surgical schedules. She brought me coffee, with "Try smiling" scrawled on the cup. I left her dead roses with a note. "Thought you'd like something as heartless as you are." But every glance across an table or boardroom vibrated with unspoken electricity. Nurses whispered. One scrub tech placed bets on when we'd finally snap or kiss. The heart between us. Then came Mia. 17, congenital defect, unstable vitals. She needed more than a miracle. She needed us. "You'll co-lead," the chief said. "That's reckless," I hissed. "No," Juliet said calmly. "What's reckless is letting your ego jeopardize a girl's life. Stay out of my way. Only if you ask nicely." 10 hours of surgery. We moved like enemies performing ballet, flawless synchronization. At one crucial moment, my hand trembled. Juliet reached over, steady, grounding. "Breathe," she whispered. "You've got this." Afterward, we sat in silence in the darkened hallway, sweat drying on our scrubs. "I thought you hated me," she said. "I did," I admitted, "until you touched my instruments." Juliet laughed, soft and startled. "You're impossible. You're infuriating. Are you going to kiss me?" she asked. "Or are we going to keep pretending we're trying to kill each other?" I kissed her. Fierce. Months of tension combusting. She tasted like adrenaline mint and everything I denied myself. "You're going to ruin me," she whispered. "Only if you ruin me first." We tried to hide it. We were surgeons, masters of precision. Ghosts with glances and elevator rides that stretched too long. Our fingers grazed during scrubs. A wink across the nurse's station. A voicemail that ended in silence. One night, I found her on the hospital roof, wrapped in a blanket, city lights blinking below. "Bad day?" I asked. "Lost a 12-year-old, she murmured. "Liver failure." I sat beside her. "I thought if I was perfect," she said, voice cracking, "I could stop feeling everything so hard." "We're never untouchable," I whispered. "That's what makes us human." She looked at me. "You're softer than you pretend to be." We kissed again. Not out of lust. Out of understanding. Part 5. A pulse beneath the silence. The rumors spread. Lane hasn't yelled all week. I heard Hart kissed her in the elevator. The chief is going to kill them. And then he did. Nearly. "You're the best we have," Dr. Patel said. "But this hospital doesn't need scandal. Keep it professional, or one of you transfers." Juliet stood. "We haven't broken protocol." I said nothing. Outside, she turned to me. "You didn't defend us. This is our career, Jules. And what are we without it?" I had no answer. Part 6. The scar we can't hide. We pulled back. Nods instead of glances. 80-hour work weeks. Cold coffee. Silence. The only thing left was a photo from Mia's checkup. Our hands almost touching, but absence has its own gravity. Late one night, after 3 emergency surgeries, I stood at Juliet's door. She opened it in a robe, mascara smudged, exhausted and beautiful.
We didn't speak.
We just fell into each other, into everything we'd denied. Afterward, tangled in sheets and emotion, I whispered, "I'm scared." "Me too," she said, "but I don't want to lose you." "You won't," I said. "Not unless you run." We didn't run. By day, we were colleagues. Untouchable. Flawless. By night, we were real. We kissed in broom closets. Fought. Laughed. Fell harder. During a 2 a.m. trauma case, I held a retractor as she sutured an artery and whispered, "Marry me." She blinked. "Did you just propose during a thoracotomy?" "Don't make me say it again. You're impossible." "Then yes." Part 8. The final incision. But she was bleeding inside. Crooked smiles. Distant eyes. She signed discharge papers like she wasn't really there. We hadn't kissed in 12 days. I knew. I counted. When the board called her in to investigate our relationship, I burst into the meeting. "This is my fault," I said. "Don't punish her for having a heart." "You don't get to protect me," Juliet said. "Not anymore." She turned to the board. "I love her, and if that's a problem, I'll walk." And she did. Part 9. Recovery room. Days passed.
She vanished.
Her locker, empty. Her nameplate, gone. I wandered the hospital like a ghost, haunted by heels, laughter, and perfume. Then I found a note in my locker. "If you ever learn to fight for love the way you fight for control, meet me where we watch the sunrise." At 2:14 a.m., I ran. The helipad was quiet, until she stepped into the light. "You came," she whispered. "I never stopped," I said. We kissed like survivors. "You left. You never asked me to stay." "I love you," I sobbed. "More than this job. More than my pride." "I was always yours," she said. 6 months later, at the hospital gala, Dr. Lane arrived in a black dress that turned heads. Beside her, Dr. Hart, back from sabbatical, newly appointed head of surgical innovation, wore red stilettos and a diamond ring. Rumor had it the proposal involved a scalpel box, a red rose, and a very confused scrub nurse. No one dared ask, but they watched as the 2 women stood side by side, fingers linked, eyes only for each other. "Did you ever think we'd end up here?" Sophia asked. Juliet smiled. "I hoped." Then, softer. "From the moment you told me not to touch your instruments."